I collect, unfortunately, many of the dark things of American history and world history because I think it needs to be preserved, or it will be erased, or it will be mistold. For instance, on my desk here, I have slave shackles, and these are the locks that would lock the chains up. And what is important about these is not that we enslaved people, because we all know we enslaved people. People have been enslaved for the entire... People enslave other people all the time. Sex slavery is happening even today. It is a huge, huge market. 2 million children are in sex slavery right now, many of them in the United States of America. My company and Mercury One are currently working on some things to build an underground railroad for the sex slave traffic system, because one of our biggest holes is coming through our open border in Arizona. But nobody wants to talk about it. But slavery continues to go on to this day. If you really care to see the Holocaust that is going on in North Korea, it's all there. It's all open. What they do to people in North Korea is beyond what was happening in Germany, but we don't care to see it. But how do you do it? How do you really enslave people? You have to have power over them. And I want to show you something, or walk you through this here, on how easy it is to enslave people if you do it slowly and you take away tools. These are shackles made by slaves for slaves. And if you look at the keys that open up the shackles, you will see that there's no fancy tumbler system in these shackles. They really are simply, this one, let me see, this one is just a piece of pipe that they cut off. Here's the rings of the pipe. They cut off, sealed on this end, and then just put a hole on this end. And what it is inside there is a screw that goes through the actual shackle, the lock. So you put that down into the lock. You take basically a bolt, and you turn it on this side, and it pushes that bolt on the inside through this little latch. That's it. That's all that held them. So what you have in your toolbox, the bolts and everything else that are sitting in the bottom of your toolbox at home, could have freed all of the slaves. If they just had what you just have loose in your garage and in your toolbox, you could have freed all of the slaves around you. If they had it, they could have freed themselves. So what does this teach you? All you have to do to control people is take away access to the simple things. If you reduce people's access to things, commonplace items, you can enslave an entire race of people. They are taking away our bolts. They're taking away our bolts in education. They're taking away our bolts in communication. They're taking away our bolts in privacy. They're taking away our bolts through taxes. They're taking away our bolts through health care. They have all of the pieces. You have to go to them to unlock your health care. You will have to go to them. You already do, to be able to gather and protest. You already have to go to them. I have a right to gather. I have a right to petition my government. Well, no, you need this permission. You need this permit. You need to talk to this department. You're putting a shackle around me. You can enslave anyone if you just take away access. And that is what Martin Luther King was marching about. Access. I am a man, and I deserve to be treated exactly like every other man, woman, and child. When you're talking about the IRS, those Tea Party members, those pro-life people, they were not saying, hey, I want you to shut down the people who are trying to march against us. They're not saying we want special dispensation. They're saying we want to be treated just like you treat Planned Parenthood, just like you treat Occupy Wall Street. That's it. That is Martin Luther King's point. I just want to be treated like everybody else. I want to be treated like white men, black men, brown men, red men. Everybody is the same. I want to be treated as a man. And that's not what we're doing. We're giving special dispensation to people. If you break the law, you go to jail. If you've overstayed your visa, I guarantee you, if you're a Christian family from Germany, you don't even have to overstay it. They deport you. They take you to court and try to overturn your visa. But if you are from Saudi Arabia, they don't do that to you. You can break the law, that you go away. If you are somebody preaching violence and death, if you're in a mosque and a protected mosque, I mean, play the Robert Mueller, Louis Gohmert testimony yesterday. This is amazing. What happened was the FBI purged all of the information on all of the mosques and everything else. We had collected a lot of data, because remember, data is important, right? We have to know who's in our country. We have to listen to all of our phone calls. We have to do everything because we have to know who's talking to who. But the Islamic councils got together and they decided that they wanted some information purged from the FBI records. Now, we don't know what has been purged, and we don't even know who's requesting the purging. We just know that things have been blacked out. And Louis is saying to him, I want you to tell me why we can't tell the American people the names of the people that are requesting the purge of these documents. And you listen to them. Why can't we tell the American people who these people are? They're supposed public servants. Shouldn't the people be able to know who's serving them to help them be more safe? He had no answer. But then he said, you went to this mosque where the Boston bombers were. You didn't even know that this was a radicalized mosque started by a guy the FBI arrested just a few years ago and put in jail for 20 years. He didn't know it. He didn't know it. Why didn't he know it? Because he didn't want to know it. And B, all the information has been purged. So they never went back to that mosque. When the Boston bombers were found to go to that mosque, the FBI never went to that mosque after the bombing, or when they didn't know who these guys were, and say, do you know who these guys are? Have you ever seen them? Who are they hanging out with? Is there anybody else here at the mosque that we should talk to? What happened to them? They didn't even do it. Now listen to this exchange on Capitol Hill.
I want to go back to Boston. You said things like, and I jotted these down, what you said, the FBI did an excellent job, did a thorough job, don't know what else we could have done. And according to the Russians, there's a great deal more could have been done. And when we find out about this Sensitive Operations Review Committee, and as this article points out, if it's true, it says that we don't know who the chairman and members are of this Sensitive Operations Review Committee, who the staff, that's kept secret. The FBI never canvassed Boston mosques until 4 days after the April 15th attacks. If the Russians tell you that someone has been radicalized and you go check and see the mosques that they went to, then you get the articles of incorporation, as I have, for the group that created the Boston mosque where these Tsarnaevs attended, and you find out the name Alamoudi, which you'll remember because while you were FBI director, this man who was so helpful to the Clinton administration with so many big things, he gets arrested at Dulles Airport by the FBI, and he's now doing over 20 years for supporting terrorism. This is the guy that started the mosque where your Tsarnaevs were attending, and you didn't even bother to go check about the mosque. And then when you have the pictures, why did no one go to the mosque and say, who are these guys? They may attend here. Why was that not done since such a thorough job was done?
Your facts are not altogether well.
All right, point out specifically.
May I finish my
point out specifically. Sir, if you're going to call me a liar, you need to point out specifically where any facts are wrong.
We went to the mosque prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston happening, we were in that mosque talking to the imam several months beforehand as part of our outreach efforts.
So a part of our outreach efforts. So in other words, we went to that mosque. We went to that mosque as part of our outreach. So in other words, we're reaching out to them going, hey, how can we be partners? Yeah. That's insane, but yet there's more.
Aware that those mosques were started by Alamoudi.
I've answered the question, sir.
Well, you didn't want to.
You didn't answer the question. Were you aware they were started by Alamoudi? You were not. Okay.
He didn't even say, he just looked down and went, no.
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 He wasn't
He had
even
no
aware
idea.
of it.
No idea.
He wasn't even aware of it. And
I
these
don't
are
know
the
if he
people
was
these are the people that are collecting all the information on you to keep you safe. They are purging all of the information on who the radical Islamists are. They're purging it. Why? Why? Because our government is on the wrong side. They have deemed that you are the enemy, and radical Islam is fine as long as it's Muslim Brotherhood. It is a very, very dangerous thing that we are involved in now, and they are taking away your keys to the locks they are putting around your children's necks and wrists and arms and brain.